Hey YouTube, it's Shaker here, and we're bringing you another one. Welcome back to this whole movie review situation. Oh, I see you, Edo J said, dude, that he said, dude, they made me cry. I did have some moments. I didn't like, because y'all know I'm a crier. Okay? I didn't like cry, but I did have some moments. Okay. So, today we're going to review, if I can get it open, The Flash. I'm not a DC. Well, let me rephrase my words. I'm not into DC the way I'm into Marvel. I respect all the characters, you know what I mean, all that good stuff, but just not really into it. And then I just feel like they haven't been trying to give us what we really need to have, and that's very upsetting. But this one was all right. This one was all right. Now, before we get started, listen. This is a non-spoiler review. So I'm going to do my best not to spoil it because I believe in surprises. I like to be surprised and I like you to be surprised. And if you don't like surprises, then go watch somebody else who's going to tell you the movie because that's not what I'm going to do today. But we are going to talk about the movie and we'll see if you are going to go on ahead and do that. Now, if you have not already, don't forget to like, subscribe, push that notification button because we're going to keep bringing this stuff to you. Oh my gosh. Now, I forgot to add it here, but I was supposed to do, I wanted to add in my rating for movies, and I didn't even think it out, so I'm actually thinking about this right now. If I was to give a rating out of 10 stars, I know you're supposed to do 5 stars, but I like stars and I like the number 10. It gives you more of a variety. I would give this movie a 8.5 out of 10 stars. I don't have soon I'll have a card for it, but right now we don't have a card. Anyway. So my rating is an 8.5 out of 10 stars. Edo G said, I normally hold it in 2, but they got me. I'm the same. I do prefer DC pacing, but the stories, why is it blocked here? The stories, why is it blocked? Not so much. Oh, but the stories not so much. I mean, I cannot disagree with that at all. Yeah, this movie, let's talk about the vibes. Let's go right on into the vibes. So the vibes was given in game. Now, don't get it twisted. We're not talking about quality. We're not talking about shock. We're not talking about value. We're not talking about war. That's not what we're talking about. But in the sense of like, it had a similar time travel situation going on. The same like upbeat energy as Endgame. Don't get it twisted. It also was giving What If. Very much What If. Okay? And it was also giving No Way Home. Okay? So it had that energy. We're not talking about the look. Well, a little bit of the look, but more of like time travel, Spider-Verse type situation. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Okay? All right. Now, should you go see this in theaters? Personally, if I wasn't doing this whole movie review life, I was not going to go see this in the theater. But if you are a DC fan, go on ahead and see, because I was in the theater watching it. And you ever watch a movie and like a cameo happens or a person pops up and everyone starts clapping like, woohoo, right? There was moments like that in the thing that people were clapping and I was like, oh, am I supposed to be excited about this? It was one of those type of things. So keep that in mind, that if you're a DC fan, you'll probably enjoy it. If you're not, maybe you don't need to go to the theater. You just watch it when it comes to somebody streaming somewhere. But it was good enough to watch on a big screen. Okay? But just keep that in mind. All right. Now, let's move on. Oh, theater. So the good thing about going early and going to a theater is that you get posters and stuff. I feel bad because it's got a little dirt. Oh, you can't see it, so bright. So this is the poster. Which way is up? See if you can. Sorry, it's such a small window. I know it's so bright, but this is the poster. Out of the poster so far, it's not the best. It's okay. It's a cool design, but it's a little, you know, whatever. Yeah, it's okay. I don't know why I'm gonna do all these posters because ain't none of them going on my wall. How about that? Okay. So that was the gift I got. Do you need to watch the previous movies? I don't know. I don't know anything about Flash. Now, I know Batman, Superman a little bit, but I don't really know much about Flash. I don't know if it has any connections to the series, if it has any connection to the animations, if it has any connections to the older movies. I don't know anything about this, so I am not the one to tell you if you need to go watch the first ones. From what I felt, I never felt left out. I never felt like, did this happen in a previous movie? There may be a reason why it's called The Flash. Maybe I'm hearing they're starting fresh. That's what I heard. So I'm assuming you don't need to go see the rest. This made me want more Ben Affleck where the others didn't. Ben Affleck, it was good seeing him. I'm at my parents' place and the AMC near them doesn't do posters or anything. I think this particular theater that I go to in New York, upstate New York, they're a little bit bigger of a theater. I think they can afford to, well, not them. I think, yeah, I guess they can afford to have those things. I don't really know how that works. I was trying to figure that out myself. For the previous movies, I would say no. This one would be good to watch first and go back, actually, which is weird. Okay, that's good to know because I don't know anything about these orders or what's the best to go with. Okay, so then let's move on to, where am I at? The director. So you know how I am with names. Okay, so this is Andreas Muschietti. What? Anyway, he directed I think both of the It's, the second and first one, first and second one, and he directed some or produced the Lock and Key, which was a great show on Netflix, by the way, but it didn't make it, so it must not have been that great. It ended after 3 seasons, but I loved that show. I thought it was fantastic, but it didn't make it that far. So anyway, moving on. Let's go on over to the cast. So the Flash is played by Ezra Miller. I think they did a great job. The acting was really good. It was believable. Playing two different characters, playing yourself in two different times and different. He like so well. You really believed in this character. There was moments where I felt Flash was a little annoying, but that was a part of the story. That was a part of the point, is that he's a little annoying. So it was just kind of like, get to the point, stop, right? But because that was the personality of the character, I really respected it. The action scenes and all the running, all that stuff was phenomenal. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get to the CGI. But I really, really, really loved the costume, the movement, the comedy. He did a really, really good job. Okay, now we're going, and I'm not talking about all the characters. I'm just kind of talking about my favorite ones. Michael, how do you say his name? Michael Keaton's Batman, like the feels, the nostalgia and you just felt like he was in the 90s all over again when we went back. It just was so, like I was really singing Kiss from a Rose. Like it was just stuck, in my head. That was great to see. And my favorite character by far was Supergirl, played by Sasha Call. Call. And she did a phenomenal job. I think she looked good. Her fight sequences are good. The way she just spoke and the way she carried herself. This is my favorite character. There were other characters, but I'm just kind of going with my favorites because y'all know I don't do names that well, and I don't feel like talking about every single person. But out of those, that was my favorite. Okay. Now let's talk about the villain. I didn't want to put who the villain is, what the villain is, because I feel like it'll give too much of the story away. What I did do, so there's a list. Let me see if I can find it here. That I looked up. There's a list of 15 different themes. Oh, yes, I love the TV show actress of Kara, but this is my Supergirl now. I mean, she did a phenomenal job. There are like 15 different villain characteristics or like titles that you can find in movies, like the Equal, the Machine, the Mastermind, the Bully, the Beast, the Supernatural, the Mother Nature. There's a whole list of different type of villains. I thought the only thing I could do without giving away is just give you one of the titles. For this one, I think the villain is the Corrupted. I can just say it like that because this is a non-spoiler review, and I feel like talking about the villain here is too much of a spoiler. So I'm just going to stick it to the Corrupted. The Corrupted that's the villain of this movie. Moving on. Okay, so now let me just get the card right. Boom. So, the message. What is the message? What's the overall message of this? I think the overall message is you can't change fate, but you can accept it. You can't change fate, but you can accept it. Sometimes you're always trying to change this, change that, or I don't want this to happen. Instead of just being happy and satisfied, it doesn't have to be happy, but being content with the things that come your way, the life choices that you made. I've made a lot of bad choices in my life, but I have to also accept those silly choices because now I'm a different person because of them. And now I think differently because of them. And now I'm wiser because of them. I'm kinder and more patient because of them. So instead of fighting fate and the things you've done and the things you might do, be appreciative of those things. And I think that's the core meaning of this movie. Which brings me to the next conversation, which is time travel. This is a time travel movie. I don't think that's a surprise. You can see that in the trailer. It's a time travel movie. I'm not going to go too far into this because we'll be here all day. I personally have one type of way that I like a time travel movie, and that's a loop. I like a loop. I can't stand an alternate path. I can't stand the butterfly effect. I can't stand don't bump into yourself in the past because it'll change your feet. I can't stand that concept. To me, it's so silly. I like a loop. I like that when you go back, everything that happened still happens. All you do is cause it to happen or participate in it happening. Or you go into the future, you think you're trying to change the future, but all you're doing is making the future happen. I like a loop. This movie has kind of a loop. It kind of hits everything. So I accept it a little bit, but I like me a loop. Give me a loop. Okay, the best movie that ever did a loop is Prisoners of Azkaban, Harry Potter. They tried to go back in the past. They did not go back to change it. It's like if we're going through time, we're going through a front door. When you go into the past, all you're doing is looking through a back door. You didn't change the door. You didn't change the house. You didn't change what happened inside the house. The only difference is you're looking from a back door, which means you get a little bit more information, but you can't change it. Okay, let me just stop right there because we'll go all day. Talking about time travel, they did something I really thought was clever. The style of not the traveling of time, but when they reached a certain plane. I forgot. I don't know. I heard there's a term for it in this world, but it gave the style of a zoetrope. I love that. I've never seen any movie use the zoetrope as a time traveling mechanism. I loved that look. It said, thank you. Finally, someone who thinks similarly. You understand. I can't stand the whole alternate past and then don't go back in the past because you'll change it. What? It happened. Anyway. So moving on from time travel because I will have a heart attack. This is how deeply I feel about this. Okay. Okay. What could be better? Okay. Because we're going to talk about CGI a little bit deeper, a little bit. But it's so hard because there were times where it was like, wow, this one character is in the same place and it looks very seamless. But then not this particular image, this is the only image I could find, but there was like a bunch of babies and it was like, those are not real babies. But it looked good. So we'll talk about it a little bit. But that was the only thing that kind of pulled me out the movie a little bit was just some of the graphics was kind of like, no, sir. No, sir. But the cinematography, come on now. The cinematography, different vibes. It's called Speed Force. That's not a spoiler at all. No biggie. Okay, so the area is called Speed Force. Okay, that makes sense. The cinematography was giving. It wasn't like something crazy. Like it wasn't like artsy fartsy, it wasn't like a masterpiece, okay? But it definitely had a vibe, it had an aesthetic, it had a look, especially when they went into the past, which I'm assuming was like the 90s. It had just a good like vibe to it that I really, really enjoyed. Okay. Now let's talk about the CGI. Besides those problems that I had that I didn't really like, I think the special effects, all the running graphics, all the movement, I think like I said, it you know what it felt like? So I mean, granted, video games now have gotten really amazing, but like you ever watch a video game where you're looking at it, you're like, it doesn't look real, but it looks good. That's what this movie felt like. Like it doesn't look real. You know it's not real. But that doesn't change it from being good. That doesn't change it from having quality. So that's what I felt about the CGI. Like there are areas where it's like, that doesn't look real, but it looks good. I hope that makes sense. I know that's very like weird, but that's how I felt about it. Okay. Now, what is this? Oh, the music. Wait a minute. I gotta look at my cards now. Oh, okay. The music and the score, nothing too crazy, nothing like super noticeable. I mean, dramatic, I think it was more upbeat than anything because he's running. He's always moving super fast. So the music has to match that. There wasn't a lot of like slow music or slow sound design. Not sound design. We're going to talk about sound design in a second. But like the score was very, it was dramatic, but it was very upbeat according to the fact that he's a very fast character. So it all makes sense. The sound design was really, really good. I love a movie that has to figure it out. I mean, all sound design, you kind of have to figure it out because most things aren't real and you have to make it real. But this really is truly not real. Like no one runs as fast, no one does anything like this. So all the electric sounds and all that, I think was really, really good in this movie. Absolutely good. Okay. World design. I don't know much about Gotham. I don't even know if this it looks like from the movie, but I can't remember. I might have just stole it. I don't know much about Gotham. I'm assuming it's a play off of New York, like it has a metropolis, type of situation going. That didn't really look much different, just kind of looked like a regular city. But the best world design was come on, pictures. The Batcave. I mean, we just walked right into the 90s. Like what the Iceman is going on. Like it was giving it. Okay, it was absolutely giving it. Do you understand? Gotham was gorgeous. It's New York and Chicago combined. With more grit. That's what it feels like. It feels like that New York rough, but it's a little bit more like whimsical. But that's the thing. I've seen it more whimsical before. I don't feel like it was as whimsical of a New York in this movie particularly. But I guess because it wasn't really about Gotham. And then the Batcave. I mean, that was the best thing. It was so great to see. It looked phenomenal. The lighting, that blue tealish lighting. Loved that so much. And then this is obviously not from the movie. This is just a cool zoetrope that I've seen before. But my favorite was every time they went into the time. What'd you call it? What's the thing called? You just said it and I read it. You said something. Oh, the Speed Force. Every time they went there, I was like, this is so cool. It didn't look real, but it like worked. It's like, it doesn't look real, but it should look a little different, Anyway, I absolutely loved that. I just want to make sure I can see myself here. Sometimes cameras like to die on you. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Costume design looked good. Supergirl costume, really dope. Really dope. I love that actually the costume of Flash was a part of the conversation. That's not really a spoiler. It just was a moment, but I'd rather you see that. Yeah, it looks good. It doesn't look cheesy. It doesn't look fake. It's high quality costume design. Like I really like that quite a bit. Okay. There is an end credit scene. Nothing that really moves the story forward necessarily, and maybe gives hope for more from this particular Flash. I heard Ezra Miller is problematic. I don't know. I don't be really getting into all that. So I don't know if they are gonna continue with the story or not. But it does hint that maybe it will. But it was just a funny end credit. Nothing like if you miss it, you're not missing anything. You know what I mean? Is there a second movie? I don't know. Like I said, from the end credits, it doesn't hint to a new movie, but it does hint to maybe there's more. You know what I mean? Let me do this here. So I don't know. I don't know the story of this. I don't know the path of this. I heard this is the new generation that they're gonna build on, so maybe, but I'm not sure. Not actually sure. Okay. So what is the conclusion? It's a good movie. Visually, it's exciting. It's fun to see people move really fast, yet slow. Because that's the thing. The faster you go, the slower it seems to them for us, through their perspective. There's an opening running scene in the beginning of the movie that sets the whole movie. And I love, I think a good movie is going to do that. They got to give you something at the beginning. Don't drag it along. Some movies need to be dragged because it's a slow, maybe, type of movie has to build in that way. But if it's a fast movie to begin with, then don't start slow. Start us with a punch. Have your slow moment to pick up again. So then you hold us all the way through. And I think this movie did that. Right off the bat, there was an awesome running scene that I felt was really, 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 really good. But I really, really hope they continue now with the tidbits they threw. If you watch it, yeah, that's what I hope. But overall, the movie was very funny. It had funny moments, very exciting. I was almost like proud of DC. I was like, okay, you might pull me over because it looked really good. It was very Marvel level quality. Storytelling was good. It did get you in your feels a little bit. I didn't like cry, but it was kind of like, oh wow, this is a beautiful story. It was one of those type of things. So yeah, definitely go ahead and check it out. Would I see it in theaters? Me personally, I would not have, but I only seen it because this is what I'm doing now. But overall, yeah, it's a good movie. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, push that notification button because we're going to keep bringing this stuff to you. Oh, I forgot to say, definitely check out my Patreon. I've been preparing all these different tutorials. If you want early access to the tutorials, you definitely want to get the Patreon because you get early access. The second tier gets free wallpapers. The third tier gets free digital monthly packs from brushes for Procreate, from 3D models, all that stuff. So you definitely want to check that out below. And that's all I got for you. What are you doing? I know you're not about to leave. It's mad buttons down there. You ain't pushed on one of them. You better subscribe to my channel. See you soon.